Welcome to Dark Magic Stories. Tonight's tale, The Chateau Accord, Episode 6 of Pruett's Sinister Escapades. The Dorvo demand justice. Julian offers a location, but even truth has a cost, and not everyone walks away clean. Let the accord begin. Episode 6. The Chateau Accord. Maison de Bénédictions lay in still silence, cold, quiet, and shadow-draped, far removed from the clamour of Paris. Though once a haven for reflection and restraint, tonight it held tension like a blade. Marcella entered first, her boots echoing on the stone floor of the main hall. Leonis followed, more subdued, his hands folded behind his back, his eyes scanning the room like a scholar dissecting a battlefield. Luke brought up the rear, restless energy rippling through his posture. His boots struck the stone with a different rhythm, one meant to be heard. Julian waited until they were halfway across the hall before he finally spoke. "You didn't kill the alchemist, did you? He has his uses." Marcella ignored the jab. "You know why we're here." Julian gave a faint, humorless smile. "To threaten? To demand? To pretend this is still diplomacy?" Leonis stepped forward, voice low but firm. "We want answers, Julian. That's not a threat. That's necessity." Julian met his gaze. "And if the answers aren't tidy? What then?" "Then we adjust," Leonis replied evenly. Luke crossed his arms. "We aren't here to barter with riddles." Marcella stopped just a few feet away from Julian. Her voice was ice. "Where is Pruett?" Julian inhaled slowly. The scent of dust and memory clung to the air. For a moment he said nothing, just studied her face, the iron in her spine, the grief barely hidden behind fury. Her tone sharpened. "He killed a king, desecrated his body. If you're protecting him, you're complicit." Julian's eyes flickered. "Complicit implies choice. I didn't ask for this." "But you haven't stopped him," Luke said, stepping forward. "I rarely can," Julian replied. "He's always been uncontrollable." Marcella's patience thinned. "Then tell us where he is. Now." "You want a location?" he asked quietly. "Coordinates? A map? You think this ends with directions?" "I think it starts there," she snapped. "And if you're shielding him—" Julian cut her off, not with anger, but with exhaustion. "I'm not shielding him. I never could." He turned from them, facing one of the tall windows. Light bled through the coloured glass, painting cracked stone in reds and greens. He was always like this, even before Paris, before Endor. Chaos in a fine coat. Luke scoffed. "Then help us end it." Julian's voice lowered. "And what will that earn me?" "A chance to live," Leonis answered simply. Julian smirked faintly, but there was no warmth in it. "You always did know how to cut to the root." "Where is he?" Marcella repeated, fangs bared. He looked down at the edge of the long table, his fingers tracing the grooves of the wood like one might a memory. "There's an old monastery, near the ruins of St. Ilde's Cathedral. Southwards. Forgotten by most. Pruett's made it his gallery." Marcella's lips pulled back in a snarl. "His charnel house, you mean?" Julian nodded once. "Yes, that too." She stepped closer. "He's hiding behind relics and rot?" "He calls it collecting," Julian said. "You call it desecration. He sees no difference." "Why tell us now?" Leonis asked. "Why not weeks ago?" Julian turned, finally meeting their eyes again. His voice was soft. "Because I wanted to believe he'd stop. I always do." "Then we go," Marcella said, turning toward the doors. "Not yet. Not tonight," Julian called after her. "Going before midnight is best." She looked over her shoulder. "You expect me to wait until tomorrow?" "I expect you to live," Julian replied. "Storming in early only ensures your death, or worse, his escape." "Fine. Tomorrow then, and you're coming with us." Julian didn't move. "No. I want no part in this." Marcella stepped toward him again, her fangs barely visible. "You're already part of this." "I said no." Julian stood his ground. "Do what you must, but I will not be part of it." A long silence stretched between them, until eventually Marcella turned and left the room with Leonis and Luke close behind. Julian stood alone once more in the quiet of his home. "And now," he whispered to no one, "we see where your madness leads us, brother." You've been listening to The Chateau Accord, Episode 6 of Pruett's Sinister Escapades. The line between diplomacy and war thins, and Julian's silence may cost him more than loyalty.